Here's the baked cherry pie made in Glow's Kindred Kitchen today. It's the 4th of July double cherry pie. And for the recipe and the instructions on how to make it, go to Glow's Kindred Kitchen on YouTube and you'll see everything right there, and it smells and is delicious. Thanks.
Hi, welcome to Glow's Kindred Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Today we're going to be making 4th of July double cherry pie. And yes, it does have two kinds of cherries in it. And I've been making this for a few years now. Actually, longer than that. My daughter, she was actually due 4th of July, and so we had a cherry tree in our backyard. So we have always made a cherry pie for her birthday from our cherry tree, and then we would add Bing cherries to it as well. So let's get started. First of all, I don't have a cherry tree in my backyard, so I had a can of the sour cherries in my cupboard. So I took that, it's a 15-ounce can, and I drained it and I put it in my pan. And then I went ahead and I took the can that I had drained the cherries from and filled the Bing cherries in it that were frozen, that I had defrosted. So I have about the same amount as far as, weight for this recipe, even though the Bing cherries are bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner on about medium to start. And this recipe calls for us to put in 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and this is a tablespoon. Three. And then to that, we're going to be putting in 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And it may require us to put more in, but we'll wait towards the end. I really don't like having an icky sweet pie, so we'll just judge. And I have extra sugar there just in case we need it. And it also calls for us to put in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And so what I did before you guys joined us today is I took a lemon, I sliced it, and this is like a lemon reamer, and I just went like that, and that's all the juice I had. And that's just from a half of the lemon. These lemons I got this time are just super juicy. And this measuring thing is a tablespoon. So there we go. And I'm going to put that over there. And let's see what else we need. We need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to kind of gauge that. That looks like about 1/8. And we're just going to stir this up. Whoops, I'm making a mess. And by doing this on the stove with this particular recipe, it helps you to determine how much sugar you need in your pie prior to you getting it in the oven and everything, and then be disappointed afterwards.
Don't want to be disappointed, Miss Glow.
No. So I'm just going to turn it up a little bit more. So it's about medium high right now. I'm just going to wipe up my mess here. I'm one of those cooks that I try to clean up as I go. And see why you can tell why we drained those cherries first. Otherwise, you'd have way too much juice for your pie.
Way too much, Miss Glow.
So we're going to be bringing this up to like a hard simmer, and then we're going to let this cool to lukewarm. So I'm going to take a break here, and then when it comes up to a hard simmer, I'm going to show you the next step for this pie. We'll see you in a few minutes. Bye. Hi, welcome back. Well, as you can tell, the cherries and the cornstarch and sugar have all come together, and it's thickened up really nice. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I had it down to low, and you can see how thick it is. And we sampled it, both my husband Richard and I sampled it, and we think it's plenty sweet.
It's very good, very good.
Thank you. So we just did 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now that this is done, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of butter. Let's see, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I use real vanilla, not the imitation. No imitation.
No exaggerations.
And then we're gonna do a half, this is half of a teaspoon of almond extract. And almond and cherry just go really nice together. So, I'm gonna stir that up.
That smells good, Miss Chloe.
Thank
I could
you.
eat that without the crust.
Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it? So we're gonna let this cool off to where it's lukewarm. And in the meantime, I'm gonna get our crust ready. And if you do not have a crust recipe that you really like, you may wanna take a look at one of my crust recipes that I have on YouTube already. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Bye. Hi, welcome back. So the pie filling has cooled off to about room temperature, and I went ahead and I filled my pie plate up. I had made my dough in advance, and by the way, the recipe that I use for my pie dough is called Glow's Flaky Tasty Pie Crust, and it is very good if I say so myself. And it's very easy to work with. And I went ahead and made this up in advance, and you'll be able to see how easy it is to use. So now we're gonna do the lattice. So I went ahead and I cut these, and I start in the middle, and I make like a T, like that. So then the next one I'm gonna fold this back, and I'm gonna put this here. It kind of helps me guide me as a pattern. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do like that. And then we're going to do the other side. And you want to use your longer pieces in the middle, like I'm doing. And I used like it's a pastry cutter to cut these out, and the pastry cutter that I used, it makes this design, and I also use it for my raviolis. One of these times we'll make raviolis together as well. See if this one's long enough. Yep. So there we go. We got that part done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start working to have it come this way and that way. So let's see, this one is going to have to go under because that's over. So we're just going to pull these back. Oops, wrong one. See, it gets confusing. And we'll take one of these. And see how this pie dough just is so easy to work with. Took a long time to figure out how to do this with a pie dough that wouldn't break on me like this. I think we can, I'll do one of these. See how that broke? But watch. Nobody will ever know. There. And then let's go this other way. Actually, I want to move this one down just a tad. There. So now what we're going to do is fold like that, like that. Oops, forgot to put that over. There we go. That one we may not even need. I might have to remove that. It might be too much. And we'll go like that. And like that. There we go. And then we're going to just do one more, or actually two more. And right now my oven is heating up to 425 degrees. And we're going to be putting this in the oven when we have this done. And it's going to be cooking at 425 degrees. And it'll be in there for 20 minutes. And then I'm going to turn the oven down to 350 degrees for about another half hour. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut the edges off. And if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'll be right back. I need to go get my kitchen shears. Hi, welcome back. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to stay very organized, and I had my kitchen shears underneath my little notes for my recipe. So I'm sorry about that. But now we're going to go ahead and cut the dough around here. And these little pieces, we'll just make like little cookie type things with that and put some cinnamon sugar on and bake that in the oven as well. They're so tasty when you do that.
Lucy's hoping to get one.
Yeah, she'll get one. Okay. Let's just kind of clean this up, and then we'll talk about the edges. That one's a little too long there. It's hiding on me. So you could take a fork and you could crimp along the sides here and do that, or you can use your fingers and tuck this under, and I think that's what I'm going to do. That piece is a little long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and move this underneath. Just kind of fold it. Almost kind of like a package. There, we can do this part over here. It looks like we can add a little bit more dough right there. And see how forgiving this dough is? It just presses right together. I just love this recipe. I'm actually not even making this pie for us. It's going to be as a gift for my dad. It's one of his favorites, is cherry pie, so thought I would surprise him. I'm just going to continue around here. That's a little bit too much dough there. You don't want to have a piece of crust that's quite that thick. So let's do the same right there too. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the thing and kind of flute it with my fingers. So what I do is I take my thumb there, and I take my index finger and my thumb on the other side, and I go like that. Then I put my thumb where the last indentation was, and we're just going to go all the way around. It's very easy to do. It makes it kind of decorative. But see how this dough just stays so nice and it's very flaky. So there. Now I'm going to just get some sugar to sprinkle on top. I have it right over here. I'll be right back. I'm just going to sprinkle on the top lightly. And this at the most was a tablespoon. I think it was a tablespoon of it. There. So I'm going to put this in the oven, but there's what it looks like before we put it in. And then, again, it'll be at 425 degrees for 20 minutes, and then I'll reduce the heat to 350 for about another half an hour. But anyway, I'll be back then. Thank you. Bye. Hi. Well, this is the finished product. I just pulled it out of the oven, and yes, it's hot. But doesn't it look delicious? I can't wait to give this as a gift to my dad. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. And please comment if you would like to. Talk to you later. Bye.